This is my reaction speed, and this is my reaction speed just 3 days later after learning how to react faster. And the video's over! I found the 4 key elements of reaction, the 4 things that stands between us not just being good, but having the reaction speed of our favorite pro players. From watching top rated aiming content, to getting advice from high elo players that have a proven method of fragging out. By the end of this video, we'll have everything we need to not just improve our reaction time, but perfect our aiming styles. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, because first we need to see what our reaction speed even is. So the average reaction time is about 250 milliseconds, which is about the equivalent of 4 babies being born right about now, actually. Wow. And the average Valorant Pro reaction time is about 170 to 190 milliseconds, with TENZ's reaction speed being 147. I didn't have the highest expectations of what our score was going to be, but all I knew was that I was going to be ready. Not bad, not bad. 167. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw this number. That's pretty up there, but I couldn't help but think, can I actually be that quick, or was it just a fluke? I accidentally hit the scroll wheel, but if you hit the replay, we stand at 183 milliseconds. An average of 190 milliseconds ain't too shabby, I'm not gonna lie. Which isn't pro territory, but still way better than what I was expecting. Maybe with proper training, we too could be in that pro player range. From the videos I watched, when trying to improve your reaction time, you should know these 2 things. Be sure you're doing single target scenarios, since if you do multiple targets, you'll start planning your shooting route, which isn't the skill we're trying to learn here. Tracking scenarios are going to be your best friend, since the target's inherently move in a way that's harder to read. Time went on, and I got better. After finishing up the first day of aim training, I gave myself another speed test to see what I was working with before I started playing. 190, 189, 172, which makes the average 182 milliseconds, an 8 millisecond decrease. With my new trained reaction speed, I was ready to dominate anyone that crossed my path. No one was gonna stop me. Well, turns out that wasn't true, because it seems like everyone apparently was able to stop me, but I felt like I had no time to shoot back, which sounds crazy since I just trained my reaction speed. And to pour salt on the wound, my teammate was having the opposite effect, where he had all the time in the world to kill his opponent. And at first I was like, bro, what does he have that I don't? But then I remembered, I could just ask him.
It's positioning, it's really all it is.
Like when he's fighting someone, he's always ready for like the next dude.
With that, or I just try to isolate my fight with movement, angle work.
That was fun, that was crazy, bro.
Yeah, we all played crazy, bro. It was sick. Hello?
What's up?
Play the angle? Game sense? I was still confused on what I wasn't seeing, but it turns out it was everything.
Well, that's because there's a whole third dimension that is missing from this prediction to reaction spectrum. You don't need crazy fast reaction times if you know what the enemy is doing before they even do it, and the best way to know that is through something called movement reading. Have a look at this animation. Before the target has actually physically started to change directions, their player model has already begun to ship, presenting us with a lot of visual cues to pick up on to inform how we should react.
Movement reading, huh? It sounds exciting, but unfortunately for me, before I could test this concept, I still had one obstacle standing in my way. I was still struggling on how to activate my aim. Every time I tried standing my ground like in the clips I saw, I would whiff, or worse, get pooped on. Until I realized my process was all wrong. Standing my ground to get a kill? This isn't aim labs. People are just gonna move to avoid my shots, and while I commit, use that extra time to kill me. Wait, extra time? Extra time.
With that, or I just try to isolate my fight with movement.
These players didn't just have more time, they created it. So I'll create my own time. The odds of me winning feel so much more even than before, but unfortunately for them, I've been aim training. Was behind me that entire time? I lost sight of her while focusing on the other 2 targets. I have some ways to go, but if I can utilize movement reading, I could become insane. I was hit with the improvement fairy. I was itching to become a faster, more accurate, smoother, calmer aimer. But if this was gradual growth, then what I'm about to show you was the breakthrough. not just on the improving side of things, but also a breakthrough on just how deep this rabbit hole really goes. And it all starts with this video. But this isn't just your normal video. This video reveals one of the great grandfathers of the smooth aiming technique. The same aiming technique that the Valorant community has grown to admire.
The form and skill on display here is unlike any other aim training player. This is Snowy. Snowy is an older Kovaak's player and the 3rd place winner of all 3 Kovaak's League competitions in 2022. Snowy's smoothness is exceptional. It's almost beautiful in a way, it's just that he makes these runs seem perfect.
The best aimers in the world praise Snowy for his beautiful, seemingly perfect aiming technique. And to be honest, even I couldn't figure out a way to extract his methods in a way we could replicate, but I did get an aiming routine out of him. Matty OW, the man that made the video about him, also like top Kovaak's player, gave us a smooth aiming routine to help give us a piece of Snowy's magic. And at first, I thought I was wasting my time doing this when I could just be doing more reflex tasks, until I was seeing strong similarities between getting smooth aim and making the most out of your reaction speed, and that's because both of these strong things come from the very same source: your eyes. Each task is either trying to read the movement of the bot, trying to read where the target is going to go, or a bit of both. And in game, it showed so much more. All of my movements went at a steady tempo, way better than yesterday, and it finally felt like it was time to test out movement reading. And it didn't really work. I had a few close calls, but every time things started heating up, things would just like fall apart. Until I realized that the last piece of utilizing a reaction speed would actually be something I introduced on this channel once before. But first, I needed to get some rest. This method was eating up a lot more concentration than usual, because the first day I played like 5 games. Today, I played like 2, and I didn't even want to play the second one. So tomorrow could be anyone's guess. I did like 12 different tests since it was the last day of the challenge.
Oh, 169. Oh, we're pushing. Oh.
And the final score amounted to 184 milliseconds, with the lowest score I got being 164 seconds, which is pretty good, but for some strange reason, it was really hard for me to get back into the smooth aiming routine. I don't know if the adrenaline finally wore off, but for some reason, I just randomly realized just how hard this playlist was, and how much focus it eats up. Like this task alone is 15 minutes long. I was so bored, I asked ChatGPT how much better Matty OW was than me. So for this day in particular, I went back to doing usual reflex tasks, as well as some 180 spider shot on aim labs. So after that, and a glass of water, it was time for me to play the final session of Valorant. So for the people that might be wondering, the final building block into having and being able to utilize a fast reaction time is tension management. We all know what tension management is, but if not, I'm just going to use another viscose clip. But in this instance, we'll be covering tension budgeting, which I didn't know was a thing until now, so surprise. If you guys remember, there were a lot of times throughout this video where I got 2 precise kills and died before I can get an ace or even a 3K. That's because I was experiencing something called lockout, where I had too much tension going through my arm and wrist to where it would disperse while I was fighting someone, and this would happen a lot, like a lot. I thought I was just allergic to acing, but no, it turns out it was something I could actually improve upon. But while I was dying and losing before this realization, I was thinking on just how far I might be from my dream aiming ability. I may be good, but will I ever become excellent? Until I was on bind, and I went to a spot that reminded me of that one bonkers flourescent click, and how slow it initially was. And I was like, flourescent is incredibly good at aiming. If she wanted to, she could have just used tension management to get to the target faster. But maybe it's harder to use tension in a scenario like that. But when I reenacted the routing, it made me realize it's way easier to get that kill using tension management. But she deliberately chose the other method because it would put less strain on her arm and wrist. Then I got even more curious. How much longer does it actually take for your arm and wrist to recover from high levels of tension? And that's when I realized it takes about 15 to 20 seconds for it to relatively go away. It takes so much longer than your recoil resetting. And here I was burning it the second I saw someone. I was burning it while I was checking my reaction time. So if that's the case, then I might have an idea that could blow up this popsicle stand.
Like, how does Sarah know that the clove in this clip will start strafing back? There's a snap visible here between animations when the other player hits the key to change directions, which happens a full 150 milliseconds before they actually start accelerating.
My understanding isn't at the point where I could just pick up on small animation changes, but I do have a good sense on how someone's going to peek an angle, and that could be my starting point. Without tension, figure out a point where the enemy is going to stop, and use my reaction speed. And from there, we'll shoot up the tension at 60%. At this point, my excitement of potentially get a clip would blind me and cause me to peak with my tension maxed out. But we're not going to do that. This time, we're going to decelerate my tension back down, so I can start moving again, while hitting a smaller micro. We broke the 3K curse!
Both showers. I'm getting the saves.
You do that.
And now it's time to take it home. By acting calmly, smoothly, and the video's over! And effortlessly.
Yes, I did it.